And we are live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my review for tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw here on youtube.com/Daniel Giza. And if you noticed here, going forward for my Raw reviews, the occasional SmackDown reviews, if I do an NXT review, we have this channel background, logo in the corner. So this is the new layout here for my Raw reviews. I hope you guys enjoy it, using OBS software to improve the viewing experience here on youtube.com/Daniel Giza 412. So without further ado, just wanted to give a little brief information on what's going on here for the channel. Like I said, I really like the layout here. It just makes it look more clean, more professional. And if you guys are tuning in live, thank you for tuning in. We got a lot to talk about, so feel free to participate in the live chat throughout this entire review. And as the title of this video says, review for the August 19th edition of Raw. The King of the Ring tournament officially began on tonight's edition of Raw, and I have to say, from start to finish, this is one of the better episodes of Raw I've seen in a while this year. Dare I say it? I'm going to go out on record here and say that it was the best episode of Raw that I have seen all year. There, I just said it. I think it was. I think, there were a number of fun matches, some strong, logical storytelling, some angles that, made sense in advance, and built towards Clash of Champions, which is coming up. And I also read a report that Vince was nowhere near this episode of Raw, so it just goes to show you. Maybe things will be better once Vinnie Mac is no longer in power. So at least for tonight, I have to say, at least for tonight, I enjoyed this episode of Raw. So let's not waste any further time. Like I said, if you guys are watching live, feel free to participate, comment in the live chat throughout this entire review, and also be sure to check out my poll on Twitter, thumbs up, thumbs down, at DanielGiza412, for my Raw review. So here we go. So tonight's episode of Raw took place from the Xcel Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Kick things off here with Roman Reigns versus Dolph Ziggler. I have to say, a solid match, despite not making much sense storyline-wise. I'm like, is Roman Reigns really going to have that much trouble, taking on Dolph Ziggler? But these two actually put on a pretty solid opener here. Ziggler was able to land a zigzag. Reigns kicked out. Hit the Superman punch. Ziggler kicked out of that. Ziggler countered Reigns' spear and landed the famous Sir. Reigns kicked out, and Ziggler ran right into the spear by Roman Reigns. I'm telling you, Ziggler is one of the best sellers of the spear on the main roster. So if there's one thing that Dolph Ziggler does right, it's sell his ass off. And Roman Reigns picks up the win. So I thought solid opening match here to kick off Raw. Didn't have a problem with it. Moved at a good pace. And we actually had an opening match to open up Raw. We had a fire promo by Becky Lynch talking about, Sasha Banks, who made her long-awaited return last week on Raw, took out Natalya. Becky came down to make the save. Sasha beat her down viciously. She beat the fuck out of her with that steel chair. And I loved every second of it. I am looking so much forward to this Becky Lynch Sasha Banks program. It is easily going to be my most anticipated feud in the women's division, particularly for the Raw side, in a long, long, long time. So Becky versus Sasha, I really thought Becky's promo was on point here. Talking about how Sasha Banks took her ball and went home after WrestleMania. The only reason Sasha Banks is hot now is because of Becky Lynch, because Lynch did it, because Banks is the greatest woman to never be great. We then have what was supposed to be the King's Court. Jerry Lawler was supposed to interview Sasha Banks when the lights go out. And who would appear? Well, Jerry got out of the ring because he thought, oh shit, here comes the Fiend. So as he's walking back up the stage, behind him appears the Fiend. He puts on the mandible claw on Jerry Lawler. I thought this was done brilliantly. I absolutely love the way the WWE has made the Fiend feel special. Actual character development, an actual character larger than life that you can get invested in. WWE, please don't screw this up. There is so much freaking potential in this Fiend character. The sky is the limit when it comes to the Fiend. So I thought everything here they did with Bray Wyatt was perfect. We had Ricochet and The Miz versus Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin. All 4 of these men will be competing in the King of the Ring tournament. A decent tag match here with Ricochet hitting the recoil for the win. And then after this match, we had the United States Championship match, which was supposed to be AJ Styles with the OC in his corner versus Braun Strowman. You knew somehow, some way, the OC was going to get involved here. As Strowman was setting up Styles for the power slam, Gallows got in the ring, hit the big boot to Strowman in the face to cause the disqualification. Afterwards, the OC was attacking Strowman. Seth Rollins would come down and make the save after Strowman did the same for Rollins last week in his main event match against AJ Styles. And I like the fact when Rollins and Strowman shook hands, and they confirmed that they were going to challenge Anderson and Gallows for the Raw Tag Team titles. It looked like Strowman was willing to let go of that handshake. I thought maybe he might turn on Rollins and beat the fuck out of him, but I just like throughout the entire night, they had Strowman constantly eyeing that Universal Championship, and Rollins just giving him this look of like, what the hell do you think you're doing, Braun? So whether this is headed for a singles match, which I don't know if I would do because Strowman's just going to lose again, or the better outcome, I think, would be a triple threat match, although we'll talk about, based on what happened in the main event, where things go from here. We had our first King of the Ring match, and boy, was this a hard-hitting physical match here. Samoa Joe versus Cesaro. These guys beat the shit out of each other. Cesaro uppercutted Samoa Joe and almost threw him into the crowd. After the break, Cesaro was able to swing Joe around, lock him in the sharpshooter, transitioned into a crossface. Joe countered that into a pin. Cesaro tried for a springboard, but Joe picked Cesaro up out of the air, hit the Coquina clutch, and Cesaro tapped out. So these two put on a hard-hitting physical match. Got at least 10 to 12 minutes to go out there and tell a good story in the ring. And, I like the constant... I like matches like these, where just two guys go in there and they beat the shit out of each other. So this was very much so entertaining. So Joe advances, and he will face the winner next week of the Ricochet-Drew McIntyre matchup. We then had Elias, who would come down to the ring to give his final performance, and he's having some issues early on. There was a ton of feedback, since he's 24/7 champion. I can't be out here every single week. He tries to sing his final song, but his guitar it's a little bit out of tune. So he just says, come in here, give me another car, give me another guitar. And who would appear in the ring? Referee appears, and R-Truth tries to pin Elias 3 times. Can't keep him down. Tries to hit Elias with the guitar, but Elias escapes out of Dodge's way. I thought for sure R-Truth was going to pick up that 24/7 championship. The 24/7 title continues to be one of the most entertaining parts of Raw. Whether it's The Fiend, Sasha Banks, or the 24/7 title, those are the 3 things that I look most forward to when tuning in to Monday Night Raw. We then had this promo from Rey Mysterio talking about how he might have to finally hang up the mask, how he's been losing so much. Andrade beat him, wiped the floor with him, and he didn't have it anymore. And just when Rey is about to give it up, when he's just about to hang up that mask, and the crowd was just so into this, and I was like, Rey, come on, Rey, you can't possibly do that. Rey's son Dominic appears and tells him to be his tag team partner in his first match, and Mysterio says he will do it for him. So I'm really intrigued. Look at that story. Where's it gonna go? What's gonna happen? I am really intrigued to see where this Rey Mysterio Dominic storyline is headed. So I thought this was one of the best things on this show, just how invested emotionally you are into it. A guy like Rey Mysterio has put his life and body on the line for years after year after year, and they got me there. Obviously, WWE did get me there. We then move on to what was the New Day versus the Revival. Towards the end of the match, the match ended in essentially a disqualification, because as Big E was hitting the ropes, he got RKO'd out of nowhere. The Viper struck. Kofi Kingston hits the ring. He ended up getting RKO'd. The Revival and Orton hit a double flapjack into an RKO on Woods. Woods is selling the hell out of it. He's screaming in pain, and Orton drags Kingston over to watch the Revival try to break Xavier Woods' leg. Now, I'm digging this pairing with the Revival and Randy Orton. I think it has potential. I think, maybe kind of think of Legacy 2.0. Maybe you want to try something in that direction. Help, give Revival a rub. Working with somebody like Randy Orton, there's potential there. Another faction here in WWE. It would, I think it could work. I really, really do. So I thought what they did here on this episode of Orton, just holding back Kofi Kingston as he watched his, one of his good friends have his leg almost snapped in half. I thought that was some good stuff here on this episode of Raw. We then have an interview with the boss, Sasha Banks, to explain her actions. Michael Cole tries to ask Sasha, why did you do what you did? Why did you attack Natalya? And Sasha keeps talking about her hair color, how she looks and feels better than she ever has before. And Cole again and says, why did you attack Becky Lynch and Natalya? And Banks leans into the camera and says, you're welcome, rips the mic off, and walks away. So I like the fact that we're creating intrigue about why Sasha Banks did what she did. Don't blow your lid in 1 week. Keep the intrigue, the suspense up. And I cannot wait for Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks to tear the house down on pay-per-view. That is a match worthy of a pay-per-view. And it most likely will happen at Clash of Champions. And then at the women's tag team titles here defended on Raw. Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss successfully defended their women's tag team titles against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Nikki Cross hit the three-handled moss-covered family credenza for the win. And, not a bad match at all. And I have to say, so far, I'm enjoying Nikki Cross's and Alexa Bliss's women's tag team title reign 10 times more than the Iconics. Because the Iconics, I felt like every time they defended those titles, they lost, and they lost, and they lost, and they lost. And WWE wondered why I didn't give a crap about the women's tag team titles. We had Seth Rollins talking backstage, trying to come up with a game plan with Braun Strowman. And, as Rollins is talking to him, he says, catches Braun eyeing up the Universal Championship. And really subtle, but I thought went a long way. And just showing, Strowman constantly having, that his sights set on the Universal Championship. Then at King of the Ring round 1, another match here, Cedric Alexander versus Sami Zayn. Kind of a quick match here. I'm surprised it didn't last that long, but Cedric Alexander hits the lumbar check for the win. I heard Paul Heyman is very high on Cedric Alexander, which is good to hear because I think Cedric has a ton of potential. As that, U.S. IC title, I think that's a perfect level for him. If he can go any farther, great, but I think he would be perfect at that level. And with Heyman being behind him, I think he'll have a nice showing here in the King of the Ring tournament. We then cut back to Natalya being interviewed about the emotional week, 1-year anniversary of her father dying. And as she's being interviewed here, Sasha Banks attacks her backstage, throws her into this crate, and Banks tells Natty to go to hell and tell her daddy that Sasha said hi. So, Sasha ain't hold back. I'm telling you, heel Sasha Banks does not hold back at all. And it's going to be so fun to watch here on Raw. And then at the Raw Tag Team Championship match, the OC defending their Raw Tag Team titles against Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman somehow, some way. Strowman gets a hot tag into the match. He cleans house. He takes down Luke Gallows. He takes out Carl Anderson. AJ Styles gets curb stomped by Seth Rollins. Strowman's the legal man, gets the pinfall victory, and your new tag team championship champions are Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. I certainly didn't see that happening, but it certainly rounded out what I thought was easily one of the best episodes of Raw of the year. I thought from start to finish, this episode flew by. I thought it didn't overstay its welcome. And if we could get more episodes like this on a regular basis, I would not groan when tuning into Raw every single week. But if I had to give a grade for this episode of Raw, I'm going to go as high as an A-. That's how good I thought this episode of Raw is. Feel free to agree. Feel free to disagree down in the comments section. Feel free to participate in my Twitter poll, which, by the way, is on @DanielGeyser412. 79% thumbs up, 21% thumbs down. So once again, guys, that does it here from my live Raw review. I want to say thank you all for watching here on youtube.com/DanoGeyser412. Be sure to check out all my latest videos, including my interview with my good friend Keith Collins. Keith, killer interview. Even though we had some audio problems, still learning the new OBS setup, still check out that interview with Keith Collins. Got more great content coming soon here to this channel. We got my Clash of Champions predictions videos. Another personal vlog will be up here. Going to be doing another interview with one of my good friends, so stay tuned for that. And be sure also to check out the Kane Action Team. That is KaneActionTeam.com for the preeminent stunt action team in Akron, Ohio. And be sure to check out Facebook.com/DanoGeyser1994. Links can be found down below in the description box. So that does it, guys, for this live review. Thank you all for tuning in live. And until next time, thanks for watching.